I guess I better check and see if you're live on Facebook at the same time. Viewing figures, but we don't have any viewers yet. And yep, we're live on YouTube. Live on Facebook. Right. Good. We're going out in both channels again. Good afternoon, folks. Give you a wee bit of time to get on. And I'll welcome the Facebook audience back today. Now we've got problems sorted out. We can stream once again to both platforms. Now, I say I'll give you a chance to get on. And as you notice today, we're minus a Davy again. But we'll get to that in a minute. I've already said that we managed to get out the 3 grants to food banks in Inverclyde, thanks to your generosity, folks. And at the end of this month, again, after the 26th, we'll start working on getting money out to Western Bartonshire as we hop from county to county. So, as I say, good afternoon, everyone. I'm just padding out the route till we get to the 100 mark, then we'll get this show underway. As I say, it's the Two Davies on the 5th of the 9th, 2024, minus a Davy. The other Davy phoned me up at about 11:45 today, round about then, to let me know that he's picked up another infection. In fact, what he actually said to me was, I've got a cold, it's a 48-hour thing. And I says, well, mind and take your antivirals. And he said, what antivirals? I said, you just tell me you picked up a cold or a flu virus. I says, your system's run down, for Christ's sake. And who qualified you to say it's a cold or a flu? Phone your doctor, you bampot. So he went, after we got off the phone with each other, and he does sound terrible today, to be fair. He phoned his doctor. So hopefully it'll be confirmed that it's just a cold. Let's hope it's nothing more serious. But since his operation and his subsequent a stroke, he has been subject to infection, but that's normal as his immune system is done. Right, we're almost at the 100 mark. We'll get a couple more seconds, and then we'll get this show underway. And it'll be done today in the style of Indie Truck Davy. Now, I have been writing the shows in the style of Indie Truck Davy, just in case David can't pop on. So, as I say, it'll be done in the style of Indie Truck Davy today, once we got our 100 mark, which shouldn't take much longer. For some reason, I've not seen anybody on Facebook. Have I missed them? I haven't seen anybody on Facebook today so far. Oh well. Almost there. Check and make sure things are alright on Facebook. Yes, I better check and see if you're live on Facebook at the same time. Things are working on Facebook. I guess we just haven't got anybody into Facebook yet, just the way it goes, because I haven't been in. Right, that's us up early. 100 mark, so let's get this broadcast underway. It's Indie Truck Davy, out the truck, not home in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, where it is 16 degrees, overcast, but dry, no bad. That's the weather forecast for Salisbury, North Lanarkshire. You want to know what the weather's like where you are? Look at your own bloody windy, and maybe leave us a wee comment, and I'll get to smile at how the weather is where you are. Okay, right, let's get this underway. As I say, it's the Two Davies on the 5th of the 9th, 2024, minus a Davy. Now, first up, Finance Minister Shona Robson announces 500 million worth of spending cuts, which can be directly attributed to public sector pay demands. Well, the public sector workers, you're about to get what you asked for, or what I predicted was coming to you. because what we will have now is cuts in the public sectors. And as I said at the time, you quite rightly deserve a pay rise which will equalise at least your standard of living, if not bring it above the basic standard of living. But when you do get those pay demands met, look your colleagues in the eye and ask whose job's going. Well, we don't quite know yet, but what we do know is the public sector is going to get hit for 500 million quid's worth of cuts. Anyway, so where's this so-called black hole in the Scottish finance sector come from? Well, I've already explained this in previous shows. The Fiscal Commission, when they looked at it, the only real problem in the Scottish programme for government was they'd only factored in 3% pay rises over the 5-year term, meaning 15% over 5 years. Well, we're 3 years in and we're already at 13% because of the wild inflation we had thanks to the lettuce, Liz Truss, and outside factors as well, like war in the Middle East, war in Ukraine, pandemic, energy crisis. They've all played a part in diminishing the Scottish government spending power, but the main driver and the need for cuts is public sector pay demands. As I say, I don't begrudge the public sector their pay demands, but what I did say at the time was, when you're asking for more than what inflation is, look your colleagues in the eye and wonder what one of you is losing your job. Well, it's that time now, kids. I did say this would happen. We knew fine well that they'd made a mess of things down the road, and although the Scottish Government like to claim great things about the Scottish economy when things are going well, the economy is a reserved matter. The best that the Scottish Government can do is take what little wriggle room they have in the budget to invest, and then of course with the Scottish Investment Bank to invest. And apparently it's supporting lots of jobs at the moment, but we'll get that when we get the First Minister's programme for government. But as I say, we're on Shona Robertson at the moment. Now, of course, public sector pay rises will be linked to public sector pay rises in England. There will be consequentials. But as the Scottish Government's already paying public servants here more than what they're paying in England, and we have a bigger public sector than what they have in England, what's coming up the road is not going to be enough to cover it. And that's where these cuts are coming in. Okay. So, I did predict this, folks. All you who've watched this programme for a long time will know that I did predict these cuts in the public sector, as public sector workers demanded more and more wages. And as I did say at the time, they do require more and more. Thank you very much, Roshan. They do require higher pay. They really do. So it is what it is. What you haven't been told us is they shout Scottish Government cuts, which we'll get there when we get to the rags and the way they're behaving at the moment, is that over the last 10 years of austerity, in fact it's more now, it's 12 years of austerity, nearly 14 years of austerity, the Scottish Government's budget has been cut by 11%, or 600 million quid. And the cuts that are predicted to be coming down the line are going to be even heavier, because we are now being told that the black hole in the public sector finances for this year alone down that road are more than 22 billion. Well, if you take an 8% share of that and apportion it to Scotland in cuts, we're talking over 2 billion being slashed for the Scottish budget. That's a huge amount of money. Now, our extra tax system, our extra tax brands, raise an extra 1.7, but it's going to be dwarfed by the cuts coming from Westminster, and that's why Shona Robertson's having to make 600 million quid worth of cuts, or 500 million quid worth of cuts. Well, when you get right down to it, that's not as bad as what it should be. Because that's what's predicted to be the black hole after the extra money through our extra tax bands disappear because of Westminster cuts coming down the line. So that would be 2.4 billion would be our share of the black hole down that road, apparently, if you take in Shona's calculation. And the rest would be covered by the 1.7 billion extra that we raise in taxes and by cutting schemes that which were projected to go forward. Okay, right, moving on. Man in suit, First Minister John Swinney further erodes the SNP's chances of winning the next Holyrood election by stating in his programme for government, eradicating child poverty is his number one priority. Problem for John is that it's not what the party was elected for in 2021. This man is as arrogant as the Westminster politicians, and he appears to have forgotten how democracy works. Now, a prospectus for the next 5 years in government was put in front of us in 2021 in the form of a manifesto. And the head of that manifesto, item 1, was elect us to have a referendum in 2023 or elect us to get out of the union. And the priority was getting out of this union. Now, for John to say that his number one priority is to eradicate child poverty would be for him to change the programme for government and the manifesto that was set out in front of us in 2021. Over this 5-year period, the SNP were tasked with getting us out this fucking union. Initially, we thought we were getting a referendum in 2023 until Nicol was stupid enough to go to the Supreme Court and give it some fucking credence. But it doesn't change the fact that the number one manifesto commitment in 2021 and what we voted that party into power for was to get us out of this fucking union. And they had 5 years to do it before going to ask us for another mandate to get out of this fucking union. The number one priority in this term of Parliament should be what the number one priority was in the manifesto they put in front of us in 2021. And that was to get us out of this fucking union. I don't remember there being a Holyrood Scottish election in the meantime. Who the fuck does Mr. Swinney think he is to change the priority? Now, when Nicola stood down and Humza stood up, he stuck to the priority of getting us out of this fucking union because he understood democracy. And the party being voted in to get us out of this fucking union in this term of Parliament. Is it just me, or are these politicians lost their way? Because I don't remember getting Swinney a mandate to change the number one priority for the SNP in this term of Parliament. And you're right, Rosemary. Asking for a Section 30 order is pointless. Doesn't change the fact we voted them in to get us out of this fucking union. So if Section 30 is not the way, then they had 5 years to come up with another fucking route. Because that's what they were elected for. That was the mandate that Nicola stood on. Vote for us. And we'll have a referendum in 2023. And then rather than just do it, she went and asked permission. So John is going out to lose this next fucking election, as he defies the mandate given to him by the people and the party. His priority, he doesn't get to have a fucking priority. He's a public servant voted into office by us to do our bidding based on the manifesto they put in front of us in 2021. So keyboard warriors and party members, it's time to start fucking asking questions here. Who gave Mr. Swinney the mandate to change the priority of the SNP during this term of Parliament when we voted them in to get us out the Union, as was stated in the manifesto in 2021? This behaviour is not on. We'll get to can you eradicate child poverty without us being independent. We will get there. But as I say, it would appear that some of these public servants and politicians have forgotten how democracy works. Right, now to the rags. The rags are screaming SNP cuts, Robson's cuts, and the day the rags have been shouting SNP kid starvers as the idiot Swinney, the man in suit, stands up and tells us eradicating child poverty is his priority, and then his finance minister tells us she's going to have to put the anchors on rolling out free school meals to 5 to 7-year-olds. Sorry, primary 6 and 7-year-olds. Ah, they're a good look. Hey, I'm going to eradicate child poverty. Oh, by the way, I'm slashing the school meal programme. See what I mean? We're going to lose is this fucking election. And as for this, Connie, sort out child poverty is his number one priority. Don't know how he's going to do that. He's getting no economically fucking levers to do it, and they're cutting left, right, and centre down that road. In fact, what I would like to know is why the press are screaming, where's this fucking change we were promised? Because Starmer and Reeves got elected under false pretences here. Started off with 10 pledges to 5 fucking missions to, hey, we're the Tories on stilts. With deeper cuts and more austerity. No wonder they're withholding the death toll figures so far from austerity. The last set of figures are a couple of years old now, and that was 320,000 unnecessary deaths due to government policy of austerity. The genocide going on, and Starmer and Reeves is just taking it up. To quote Professor Danny Blanchflower, world eminent economist, political economist, austerity is designed to kill the poor, the disabled, and the elderly, because they cost the state a lot of money in benefits. Oof. There you go. Wow, you couldn't make it up. You really couldn't. Unbelievable. And because where's Sarwar? Where's he? Where is he? Where's he hiding? I remember his election pledges here. No austerity under Labour. into the two-child benefit cap. And the latest slap in the face he just got for his imperial master. Justice for waspy women. Where's the fucking justice for waspy women now? Sarwar. Hey, where is poverty pipe? If she sends out the idiot Jackie Bailey to front all this nonsense about Scottish government incompetence and black holes, aided and abetted by the state broadcaster and all the fucking rags which are owned outside Scotland. Unbelievable. Where's the rags asking the hard questions? And as for these black holes they're talking about, there are none. There isn't any. There isn't a black hole in the UK. They've got a bank, print fucking money, or issue a bond. The city will buy it. Then print money and buy it fucking back. There you go, black hole filled. Dip into National Investments, they'll buy the bond. National Savings and Investment Bank, the bank that we can put our money into to buy shares in government bonds to increase our wealth, it's sitting with fucking massive surplus. Sell them the bond. There isn't a black hole. Never was. It's all fantasy stuff. Funny enough, we can print money for war. We can print money for a pandemic. We can't print money to feed the fucking people and raise them out of poverty. Economic illiteracy. Invest in the public services. Public services lead to growth in the economy. How do we know that? 1945, in comes the Attlee government. Places tits up. Not a dime left. Tell the Bank of England to start printing fucking money. Started building houses. Started building hospitals. Started putting together the welfare state. Economy boomed. This neoliberal ideology is economic illiteracy. But where are the press asking Sarwar these questions? Rather than aiding and abetting the state in the lie that the Scottish Government's decisions had led to this fucking carry-on. But as I say, the Scottish Government have got some blame to take in this. It's hard to claim when times are good that you're the reason why the economy's going well. But when times are bad, you want to blame the guy next door for the state of the economy. Even though the guy next door has been the one responsible for the state of the economy. And just a wee bit of intervention here and there from the Scottish Government meant that we were doing slightly better. That and the fact, of course, that people want to invest here because we've got a well-educated, healthy, happy population. Well, for fuck's sake. So the rags are an absolute depressing thing to look at. And the lack of understanding of how things work in the UK and the Scottish Government's complicity in making sure that people don't understand how devolution works within the UK has got them into fucking trouble. Got them into trouble now. They've aided and abetted and the union has been able to shout, your decision, your decision, your decision. When actually the one thing that's causing this is public sector pay rises. Right, let's move on to John Swinney's programme for government. Right, what's in it? 600 million to build affordable housing, rent controls to try and help stabilise the housing market, and of course, eradicating child poverty. How he's going to do that, I don't bloody well know. Anyway, the programme for government sets out simply and clearly our intentions for the next 12 months. It's going to be in for another 18 months. You expect we have a programme for 18? Anyway, its purpose to ensure this government spends every day living for people of Scotland. The commitments in it are practical, non-partisan and are affordable, impactful and deliverable. Bollocks, are they? Anyway, here's a programme for government: eradicating child poverty, building prosperity, improving their public services and protecting the planet. Child poverty is first and foremost in these priorities. Right, and it tells us that they're already spending $3 billion a year trying to eradicate child poverty. And he then goes on to talk about they've established and increased widely praised Scottish child payment, expanded funding for early learning, and committed around $1.2 billion to mitigate the impacts of 14 years of UK welfare policy. All very good, but if you can't carry it forward. Anyway, they then go on to boast about the analysis that tells us that the child uplift has kept 100,000 children out of poverty this year. What he's not telling you is, unless you can keep up raising it, then not that many will be out of poverty next year, the way things are going. But anyway, as I say, what else is in it? 600 million for affordable housing, with 100 million quid being invested this year, or this next year, to bring forward 1,820 social rented housing. Doesn't tell us where it's going to be, but it needs to be in the dense population areas, and it's hard to get land in the areas. And then he goes on to talk about healthcare and its importance in keeping children out of poverty. And then at the very end, he goes on to tell us what a wonderful people we are, how educated we are, how blessed we are to have so much resources. But as I say, it's all piss in the wind, because you can't eradicate child poverty while we're still in this bloody union, because most of the economic decisions that are made within this bloody union are made down that bloody road. And our budget's controlled for doing that bloody road. So it just takes a squeeze from them, and more of our children end up in poverty. And we're about to see a massive squeeze from them. Starmer and Reeves, as I like to call them, Sir Kid Starver Granny Freezer Starmer Cameron and Rachel Reeves Osborne, are about to batter down on the poor even harder than the actual Tories did. They're mere neoliberal. Unbelievable. Right. So that's John and his bloody programme for government. A programme for government that he has no real, he has no mandate for. I've been saying this, when they set out the first programme for government at the beginning of this parliament, it should have been a 5-year programme. What's this 1-year programme shite? Can't achieve nothing in 1 year. Nothing. This is nonsense. Right. Okay, the PFI scheme, that is to be GB Energy, to be based in Aberdeen, with the potential for satellite branches in Glasgow and Edinburgh, Labour announces. Well, they're shouting Scottish Government fault cuts, they're fucking shouting, Labour shouting, we'll send GB Energy with its 15 employees up the road to Aberdeen, shall we? Now remember, this is an energy company which won't produce any energy whatsoever. So how it's going to bring down energy prices, I have no idea. But what we do know is that with the expansion of green energy infrastructure, we're being told that alone will add £141 a year to our bills via the Green Levy. And that's not including the increases we're going to get for the superhighway down the west coast and down the east coast, as the grid spends to upgrade the infrastructure. And of course, so on top of that, the Ofgem are still on the price hike, price drop, price hike, price drop. Energy bills are still shooting through the roof. They're being robbed left, right and centre. This comes at a time when we're told the Scottish renewable sector, the renewable energy sector, actually powers 13 million homes in the UK. That's how they're calculating the amount that's being generated. Huh? Yet here we are in Scotland with the highest feed-in costs into the national grid, the highest standing charges for domestic electricity, and the highest bloody electricity bills in the whole of the UK. Yet we're producing all the fucking energy. And that includes the oil and gas. Better together, broader shoulders of the union. Where's the fucking benefits of this union, I keep asking myself? Because they're telling you it can power 13 million homes. What they're not telling you is, if Scotland was independent, that amount of generation, that amount of electricity generated just by renewables would power every home in Scotland, because we only have 2.5 million homes in Scotland. It would power all our industry. It would power all our infrastructure. And there'd still be left there to sell elsewhere. But there's only 2.5 million homes here in Scotland. You'd be paid more for electricity than anywhere else. Yet we're supplying 13 million homes. If you take their sums. As I say, if you look at it in the other direction, an independent Scotland would have cheap energy for homes, industry, infrastructure, meaning hospitals, schools, colleges, all that sort of thing. And still have some left there to sell. Wow. So, there you go. To hide the fact that the real nasty shit that's happening in the UK is coming for the house of thieves and carpetbaggers, where they have mismanaged the UK economy since the introduction of neoliberal thinking under Thatcher. They want to hide that behind, we're going to give you 15 jobs. Oh, and by the way, here's something else you don't know. See the 8.1 billion that's going into that GB Energy? That's gone in your electricity bill and all. Read the fucking small print. So there you go. The money that will go in the pot for GB Energy, folks, comes out the public purse. That means your pocket. Best way to get that back, stick it on a lecky bill. Yeah, okay. Anyway, also here in Scotland, Anna Sarwar's still in hiding. As I say, you're letting one brain cell Dame Jackie Bailey front Labour's bollocks for a while. While the papers lambast the SNP for mismanagement of the economy, as I say, but yeah, what do you say? People get what they voted for. And in 2024, people voted for these liars down that road here in Scotland. But as I say, they were voted into office on the false prospectus of change. As Danny Blanchflower has now regretted signing his letter saying that they need to get the Tories out and Labour in. Richard Murphy, tax expert and economist, he also tells us that there is no change. In fact, it's just the same but worse. There you go. So as I say, nobody's holding Labour to account. Also here in Scotland, strikes could be back in the cards as the trade union Unison rejects the pay settlement being offered to refuge collectors, bin men. Now, it would appear that Unison are trying to get their members laid off. Let's go back to the earlier subject of, you know, the public sector cuts that have been announced and the end and the programmes that have been cut has been announced by Shona Robson earlier this week. Now, GMB have accepted the rise. It's looking like Unite's going to accept the rise, but Unison are not going to accept the rise. So, if you're in the Unison Union, you can better have a look at your colleagues and ask what job, who's losing their job. You know what I mean? Okay. What else we got here in Scotland? And finally, before we move down that road, Voting's underway for the branch office manager of the Conservative Unionist Party here in Scotland. And Ruthie Tank Commander, remember her? Anyway, Ruthie Tank Commander, Dame Ruth, Christ, I forgot her second name there. Anyway, Ruthie, she throws a weight behind the favourite, Russell Finlay. You know, there you go. So Ruthie Tank Commander sticks her head above the parapet to endorse Russell Finlay. As I say, he appears to be a favourite. Why? Because Murdo the Fud's never won an election yet, so it's highly unlikely that Murdo Fraser will win out as Tory party branch office manager here in Scotland. Right, moving on down that road. Priti Patel falls at the first round of voting in the Tory head office manager election. You know. So the vile evil harridan will not be in charge of the Westminster Party. Good riddance to bad rubbish. And I hope she enjoys herself in Rwanda. Right, also down that road, the final report into the Grenfell disaster and tragedy is in, and it's exactly what was expected. Incompetence, criminality, corruption, deregulation, all took part in what went on here. And it is criminally, and they are criminally competent apparently, but there'll be no justice to them at least 2026. But as we know, these things, there is never any justice for them. You know, so, but what were the key points in that? Right? Now, what we learn is that this cladding has been a problem for at least 25 years, and it was known about by previous governments. Now, the report is 1,700 pages long, and it took 6 years to compile the report. Now, government was warned 25 years before this disaster struck. 1992, 11-storey Knowsley Heights tower caught alight in Hayton, Merseyside. And 7 years later, there was another fire at Garnock Court in Irvine, North Ayrshire. And the committee MPs repeated concerns then. It was ignored. And apparently the flammable cladding wasn't banned. Right, fire test proves how dangerous the cladding was. You know, so safety tests in 2001 revealed the type of cladding concerned burned violently. So that's going all the way back to 2001. And then there's the Grenfell web of blame, which is made up of outsourced testing companies as the government outsourced health and safety. And then in 2010, the coalition government, they were made aware of these risks and all, but ignored it. They privatised key public bodies, and they were corrupted by the cladding companies so that they could get certification. And dangers were deliberately concealed by the manufacturers of these products. And that caused the regulator, BPA, to make statements about these products which were false. Right? And it also gets on to the council. The inquiry said Grenfell refit was poorly managed by contractors and the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea Company. And that's the company in that borough in London which runs social housing as a tenants management organisation. The inquiry said there had been a breakdown in trust and relations between the TMO, the tenants management organisation, and residents, which led to serious failures to observe responsibility. It showed that the persistent indifference to fire safety left the people who lived there vulnerable. So it also proportions blame to the council. And then it goes on to explain the merry-go-round of passing the buck on who was responsible for fire safety, and that went for Studio E, the architects, to Radon, the principal contractor, and then for Harley Fassett, who made the bloody cladding, and they all took a casual approach to contractual relations, said the report, and they all passed the buck between each other on who was responsible for fire safety. And then London Fire Brigade gets a slap in the head for their firefighters apparently were not prepared for this type of disaster. So the inquiry pulls no punches into concluding that the path to disaster began in 1992, and it says the way building safety is managed in England and Wales is seriously defective, and it recommends a single regulator answerable to the government minister, Angela Rayner. Right. Now, what did Angela Rayner, the government minister, have to say about this? Well, Angela Rayner says that she wants this cladding removed quickly. Since 2017, the time of the incident, 949 buildings in England have had the combustible cladding replaced. 1,350 buildings are still unsafe. Well, depending on the reports, I've seen ones that say 4,000 buildings down that road. Okay. She also goes on to say that the people who own these buildings have no excuse because there's a £5 billion pot there full of public money that they can draw on to get this work done. I imagine that would be in the form of loans or something. Okay. Now, how's the situation in Scotland? Well, in 2024, May, we had the introduction of the cladding, the cladding bill, which gave ministers powers to order them, the owners of these 105 buildings, to get this stuff done. So that bill came in May, but there's still 105 buildings here in Scotland which needs remedial work. And that's what it was. It was the cladding remedial bill 2024, introduced on the 12th of May this year. So Scottish ministers now have the power to go after these 105 building owners who have refused to do the remedial work on these buildings. So proportionately, when you take the size of population, then Scotland's got proportionally just about the same amount of buildings needing redone as England. But as I say, it was a damning report, and it makes it clear these companies are criminally competent. So we'll see where that goes. Now, also down that road, Rachel Reeves has started a new Partygate as she expands number 11's hospitality budget to meet up with groups of her own MPs to warn them over nibbles not to rebel over spending cuts. This comes as tensions grow in the party over the spending cuts, over the retention of the two-child benefit cap, over the scrapping of the winter fuel payment. Now remember, these people promised change, Reeves and Starmer. They were elected under false pretenses because there is no change. They're telling us straight now that they've been elected, it is going to be worse than what it was under the Tories. They're going to cut harder, they're going to cut faster, and they're going to whack down on the poor. I mean, look at their mad programme for building social housing. Not the cost of social housing, to cover the cost of building more social housing. The people who are in social housing can barely afford to be in social housing. You put the bloody rents up, you put a lot of people on the street. Or you're going to put up the housing benefit bill. Mental. Huh? But anyway, to say it's going to continue the genocide here. Mental. Right, meanwhile, folks, let's move out to Northern Ireland. Apparently, a wee bit of good news for the people in Northern Ireland. There hasn't been much there later. But apparently, Michelle O'Neill and Emma Little Pengelly the leader of the First Minister and the Deputy First Minister, apparently the two parties have just about come to agree on a programme for government. Now, Stormont's been up and running for 7 months. Tells you how badly relations are handled in Northern Ireland, or how bad relations are in Northern Ireland between the two communities, because it's taken them 7 months to come up with a swallowable programme for government. The public services have suffered over the last few years. They need Stormont to start functioning properly and to get a grip on the public services in Northern Ireland. They need to start thinking about each other instead of fighting each other. Constitutional matters can take their bloody time, because that's what's happening here in Scotland. They're taking their bloody time. Right, moving out into the wider world, President Macron, the French, has appointed a new French Prime Minister, and the new French Prime Minister is Michel Barnier. Anyway, Michel Barnier has been tasked with forming a government of unity, right? Now, Mr. Barnier is from the right-wing IR party, which infuriated the left-wing New Popular Front party, because they wanted their nomination for Prime Minister selected, because they're the biggest party in the Assembly. But anyway, now Mr. Barnier, who is 74-year-old, getting on a bit, he's going to have to try and put together a government in France which is going to satisfy the National Assembly and get voted into actually function. So we'll see how that goes. In America, it's all going Pete Tong for Trump. So it is. So we might not have to put up with the orange one for another 4 years of madness and mayhem, which is good news. Off in the international stage, folks, you probably wouldn't have heard this, it went under the radar, but Mr. Lammy has taken the Sunshine Clause out of the deal with the Americans over our nuclear deterrent, which isn't really our nuclear deterrent, it's theirs. We just rent it off them. Anyway, what's the script here? Well, up until now, the nuclear agreement with America had to be renewed every 10 years. No longer. It won't be reviewed at all. We will be tied to the American nuclear program in perpetuity, or until the Americans tell us to fuck off. So, can't afford to heat granny's house, can't afford to feed kids, but 205 billion quid to continue waving on the world stage where you've got less and less influence because of Brexit. It makes much sense to me, doesn't it? But there you go. We are now tied indefinitely to the American nuclear program. Talk about puppy dog or lapdog, eh? Me. Right, on to the Russian-Ukraine conflict. Russians making gains in Ukraine while pushing the Ukrainians back out of Russia, the Russian region of Kursk. Now, according to the UK state broadcaster, the Russians are about to take Pokrovsk, a key logistic hub for Ukraine and for the Ukrainian military as well as domestic industry. And apparently Ukraine left many towns and cities underprotected for its soiree into Russia and into Kursk. But they're now being pushed back out of Russia while Russia is making advances in Ukraine. Madness. Now, there's still nothing, there's never near a resolution in this conflict yet. I have no idea why. None. But anyway, okay, now on to the Israel-Gaza conflict. as it's being called. UK drops its opposition to ICC arrest warrant for Netanyahu again. It's like in, out, shake 'em all about. And as we know, the UK has suspended 30 of 350 licences to sell arms to Israel, stating that these 30 licences and the weapons involved in these licences could see the UK complicit in Israel breaching international humanitarian law. Now, how are they evaluating these things? Well, they're talking about offensive weapons and defensive weapons. These are relative terms, we hear them all the time, but they're all bollocks terms. Because either offensive or defensive can be used for either, to be offensive or defensive. A weapon's a fucking weapon. It's designed to destroy objects or people, or both. Offensive weapons can be used defensively, and defensive weapons can be used offensively. So why there is only 30 licences suspended, I have no bloody idea. But what I do know, folks, is they're just making shit up as they go along. Trust me. I can use a weapon to defend myself, or I can use a weapon to damage somebody else. Or their property. A weapon's a weapon. This, defensive, offensive. Yep, they are designed for certain things, but they can be used for both, generally. So your air defence, missile air defence systems, they can be turned on anything. And your air-to-ground missiles, well, they're offensive anyway. So, this is just nonsense. So it is. Now, what else is going on? Of course, and that puts the Israeli lobby's nose out here in the UK, because they have financed Starmer's front bench. So we've got rabbis and everybody coming out condemning this. Even a couple of idiots out there on social media apparently saying if there was a button to eradicate all the Palestinian people, they would press it. Two nice Jewish boys, I think it was. Reagan Elite was talking about it last night. He actually played the bloody thing. Turn your stomach. Anyway, it also appears that Israel are about to go to war in the West Bank and are speeding up settling of the West Bank. Now, Strock, the Minister for Settlements, get this, the Minister for Settlements, wants war to be declared on the West Bank, and she wants to quickly move in to resettle Gaza. Strock has said Ariel Sharon committed a sin when he shut the Israeli settlements in Gaza in 2005 as part of his disengagement programme. So this person who's in charge of settlements sounds like a really nice person, but she wants to eradicate the Palestinian people. And these attacks that are being carried out with the Israeli army in the West Bank at the moment, which are allegedly anti-terror strikes into the West Bank. Well, apparently, right behind these attacks are coming the settlers. So it looks like Israel's upping its clearance strategy, which is not good. But Israel's got bigger problems than the atrocities they've committed and what's coming to them in their wars on 7 fronts. Why is that? Israel's economy is in meltdown, and up to 2 million of its 7 million of a population, and that'll be a couple of million who have still got their passports for wherever they went to Israel from. Apparently, 750,000 have already fled, and 1.3 million European and American Jews who settled in Israel are applying to get their US and European passports back with the aim of getting to hell out of Israel. So Israel's failing economy, general strikes, fleeing population, and war on 7 fronts. Netanyahu might have successfully, in the next year or so, if he can keep this going, actually ended the state of Israel. Because it'll become that weak that his Arab neighbours are about it. We'll just shut it down and clear them the way they're clearing the Palestinians at this point in time. And of course, as we know, Netanyahu's trying to widen out this conflict because it's the only way he's going to stay in power. Because when he's out of power, he's in the pokey. Simple as that. He's wanted for corruption in Israel, and he's wanted for war crimes in the rest of the world. Unbelievable. Oh, that reminds me, by the way. Putin's visiting Mongolia, and they're not arresting him. There you go. Anyway, that's my book today, folks. I hope you found that interesting. I hope you found it informative. Wee bits of rants here and there. Because see, when you spend 30 years watching the same stupidity being carried out with Parliament after Parliament after Parliament after Parliament, and watching the same stupid economic ideology fail Parliament after Parliament after Parliament, and you find no fresh ideas coming into politics. And the people who are in politics seem to have no grasp of history or economics. The last time the UK's economy fucking boomed, we invested in public services. We created the welfare state. We built infrastructure. We built housing. These people are thick as fuck. Instead, they've opted to slash and burn and cut. Mental. Absolutely mental. I say, I hope you found that interesting. I hope you found it informative. And hopefully the other David will be back with us on Monday, and it is just a wee 48-hour virus, like he thinks, a wee cold. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully he will be feeling better on Monday. Right. I want to thank the moderators today. I want to thank anybody who's contributed with a super chat or that today. I've not been able to pay much attention to the comments because I'm doing it myself and I'm reading it for a script, folks, as you know. So, as I say, that's what I've got for you. And thanks to the moderators and Reagan Elite, if you're on live tonight, I'm bossing at you at work. Look after yourselves. Look after each other. Things are going to get really rough. Keep an eye on your neighbours, especially the elderly, because they're too proud to let you know. They're too proud to ask for help. And with this winter coming, the increase in the electricity prices, the cut to the winter fuel, there'll be more of them freezing or no eating. We'll need to keep an eye on our neighbours, okay, folks? Now look after yourselves. And we'll be back on Monday to do it all again. And hopefully, Facebook will get some notification. But viewing figures here on YouTube have been quite good. At the peak, it's been 190